The Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In accordance with Standing Order 64(1)B, I beg your pardon. I beg to move that a bill entitled An Act to Make Provision for the Efficient and Effective Staging of the ICC Men's T20 Cricket World Cup 2024 and for related purposes be now read a second time. Madam Speaker, members will note that the T20 World Cup cricket event is being hosted in the United States of America and in 6 CARICOM countries, namely Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Guyana, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and in Trinidad and Tobago. We have been coordinating and hard at work around the clock to meet certain deadlines agreed upon by the CARICOM host countries and the ICC in order to successfully manage what is undoubtedly an event of great magnitude and international viewership. Additionally, we have been working closely with our co-CARICOM host countries to harmonize primary and secondary legislation for the T20 World Cup event. The coordination efforts have included national interministerial meetings, regional meetings of attorneys general and ministers of legal affairs, CARICOM meetings of national security and law enforcement, meeting of chiefs of immigration from the 6 CARICOM host countries on matters of immigration, border control and management, and on the passage of this harmonized piece of sunset legislation to facilitate the hosting of this event. The coordination efforts, Madam Speaker, have included many long days and nights by key local, regional, and international officials who have been trying to meet the short deadlines. Let me take this opportunity publicly to thank all who have worked tirelessly to bring us to this point. Honourable members are advised that all 6 CARICOM host countries are in the process of and attempting to pass sister sunset omnibus legislation within a certain period to achieve temporal and legislative harmony. I can report that all 6 CARICOM countries, host countries that is, have at this time introduced similar omnibus sunset legislation before their parliaments. Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Lucia have passed their legislation, and like us, Guyana and Antigua and Barbuda are in their parliaments this very week. Madam Speaker, I wish to mention that the bill before this House has received minor amendments in the other place, and I will highlight those few amendments later in my presentation. The history and policy behind this legislation, Madam Speaker, begins with Cabinet Minute dated June 16, 2023, when Cabinet agreed to approve the submission of a bid for the hosting of the ICC Men's T20 Cricket World Cup 2024 in Trinidad and Tobago over the period June 1st to June 30th, 2024. Following the submission of the bid on June 16, 2023, Cricket West Indies, CWI, and the International Cricket Council, ICC, accepted the bid submission and identified Trinidad and Tobago as a host country for the tournament, awarding 4 group stage matches and 1 semi-final match. The agreement for the hosting of the ICC Men's T20 Cricket World Cup 2024, that is to say the host agreement, was executed on the 19th of September 2023. The host agreement contains the terms and conditions for the hosting of this very historic event and deals with, among other things, the protection of commercial rights of the sponsors, control of ambush marketing, matters of security and stadia licenses, and the establishment of the local organizing committee. Members are asked to note that the first special meeting of the Council for National Security and Law Enforcement, CONSLAE, and Attorneys General of Men's T20 World Cup 2024 host countries was held in Trinidad and Tobago on March 8, 2024 and March 9th of that very month. CARICOM community host countries recommended at this meeting, among other things, that the Attorneys General of the host countries complete drafts of the necessary pieces of sunset legislation, one of which we are engaged with today. The first special meeting in acknowledging that the CWC 2020 was less than 3 months away, agreed that the CARICOM host country should utilize legislation precedents from the 2007 Cricket World Cup as useful precedents for legislation for 2024. Members will therefore notice that the 2024 bill, while similar to its 2007 precursor act, has been interrogated to ensure that all persons, sponsors and spectators alike are treated fairly. May I remind honourable members and reassure honourable members that this piece of sunset legislation, like its predecessor, the 2007 World Cup Act, must be enacted to give effect to the government's obligations for CWC 2024 T20 World Cup and will automatically expire on the 30th of June after all obligations are fulfilled. Madam Speaker, it is anticipated that this event will be viewed by approximately 2 billion persons virtually. We anticipate thousands of spectators to come to our shores to be physically present to view the matches scheduled to be played here in Trinidad and Tobago, a unique opportunity for Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean to showcase our countries. In anticipation of the influx of persons, Madam Speaker, to our isles and for ease of travel during the extended specified period, the Honourable Minister of National Security has already signed sunset immigration regulations that will expire after the T20 Cricket World Cup. In that regard, Immigration ICC Men's T20 Cricket World Cup 2024 Mutual Recognition of Visas Regulations 2024 were published by legal notice number 69 of 2024 and laid in the other place on the 23rd of April 2024 and in this August House on Friday, 26th April 2024. Those regulations are subject to negative resolution of Parliament. The regulations, Madam Speaker, deal with the mutual recognition of visas by CARICOM host countries during the period May 15th to July 15th, 2024. So we have regulations in place that will take effect from tomorrow in relation to the T20 World Cup. Members are asked to note, I beg your pardon, on Wednesday, the 15th. Members are asked to note that notwithstanding the mutual recognition of visas, Trinidad and Tobago will retain its sovereign right to refuse entry to any person seeking to enter Trinidad and Tobago if the admission of that person would be contrary to the Immigration Act or the immigration regulations. Members and the wider community are reminded that the group stage matches are to be held from June 12, 2024 to June 17th at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. The semi-final match will be held on June 26, 2024 at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. Warm-up matches will be held at the Queen's Park Oval, while the practice sessions will be held at the Queen's Park Oval, the Sir Frank Warren Memorial Ground at the UWI St. Augustine, and the Diego Martin Sporting Complex. Madam Speaker, I wish to state without fear of contradiction that this T20 Men's Cricket World Cup 2024 will be the largest sporting event hosted in the region since 2007 and is intended to achieve the following objectives: high-quality event management to demonstrate indisputably to the world the Caribbean's capacity to successfully plan and execute a world-class event, specifically world-class cricket with supporting facilities. Infrastructure improvement. To make permanent improvement to the sporting and general country infrastructure in the Caribbean. Widespread economic opportunity, unique Caribbean promotion, regional integration, enhancing the international popularity of cricket, and premier tourist destination to promote Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean as a premier tourist destination to all of the world's nationalities. Madam Speaker, this event will also serve to establish our country and the region as a sport tourism destination, to advance the process of regional integration, and to enhance the profit and popularity of cricket in the West Indies and throughout the world. There is a local organizing committee which has been established to execute the obligations assigned to us under the agreement for the hosting of CWC 2024 cricket between CWC and Cricket West Indies and the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. That local organizing committee is responsible for providing advice and support to CWI in implementing the event plan, assisting with execution of government guarantees, procuring necessary personnel and expertise required for formulating and implementing the tournament's plans, and liaising with government agencies and other relevant authorities to implement plans and assist with marketing and promotion of the tournament and tournament activities. And that LOC, Local Organization Committee, has been working hand in hand with senior persons within the government responsible for health and safety, disaster management, emergency services, customs and immigration, transport, police and security, communications, telecommunications, satellite and the like, sport, utilities, and intelligence. I want to take the opportunity to commend the chair of the LOC, Mr. Douglas Camacho, for doing an excellent job to date, and to congratulate the local organizing committee for their hard work in satisfying their obligations under the hosting agreement. There are many deliverables that will be brought into being under the host agreement and the steps which this government is taking, and I would emphasize that a number of the deliverables have to do with match day preparations, hence the need for this omnibus sunset legislation to create the enabling environment to achieve this goal. Another deliverable which is important is addressed to proximity to medical facilities. The 4 venues chosen for the matches and the practice sessions are all within close proximity to public and private hospitals. Safety and security was another key deliverable. Disaster management, equally another key deliverable. And all of the while ensuring, Madam Speaker, that we put in place a sufficient working operationalization apparatus for the successful accomplishment of this significant event. Madam Speaker, the bill is divided into 6 parts. The first part deals with preliminary matters. The second part deals with CWC 2024 special arrangements. Clause 1 provides for the short title. Clause 2 provides for the interpretation. And may I point out that in the other place, there was an amendment to the definition of dangerous weapons, which has been agreed upon and voted on in the other place and is brought here today. And members will observe that those few amendments which have been passed in the other place are in bold font in the bill which is before the House today. Clause 3 provides for the declaration of any area within the control of this committee or CWI as a CWC 2024 venue. Again, there is an amendment here so that members will observe there will be a public notice in the Gazette and to be published in at least 2 daily newspapers. And may I go on record to thank the effective cooperation and support which we received in the other place from the independent senators of that other place. Clause 4 provides for the CWI to have control of the 2024 stadia during a match period, subject, of course, to the rights of local authorities responsible for public health, disaster management, or national security. Clause 5 empowers the Commissioner of Police to exercise rights of control over traffic arrangements within any match venue and during any match period. This is a replication of the Commissioner of Police's existing general powers to effect road closures on a temporary basis and other orders governing vehicular flow and parking arrangements, which is normally exercised around carnival time. Clause 6 makes provision for sale and distribution of tickets for CWC 2024 by persons solely authorized by the CWI, and there are penalties in the bill for scalping. Clause 7 is to be read in conjunction with the first schedule, which lists the CARICOM host countries to give effect to the mutual recognition of visas issued by the countries who have agreed to facilitate travel amongst those CARICOM host countries. And the mutual recognition of visas, which I have mentioned earlier, will give effect during the period 15th of May 2024 to 15th of July 2024, so that persons arriving into the Caribbean at any one of those Caribbean host countries will have a single point of entry and under the mutual recognition of visas can thereafter move freely, subject, of course, to some examination by immigration authorities through the other 5 host countries. Clause 8 provides for the Minister with responsibility for immigration, that is to say our Minister of National Security, to provide with sufficient efficiency and within 7 days of being requested, work permits and approvals and documentary evidence required for same, and shall remain valid and effective until the conclusion of CWC 2024. I pause there to just address a question of concern that was raised in the other place on the 7-day period as to whether that is sufficient time, and to emphasize the point that I emphasized in the other place, that all chief immigration officers have been meeting over the last several months, and it is they who have come up with the confident assertion that they can process immigration requirements within that 7-day period once application is made. Clause 9 seeks to give effect to the obligation of host countries regarding the waiver excuse me, of import and export duties. And here too, there was an amendment in the other place under Clause 9 to give a sectional definition of the term licensee as used in the clause. Clause 10 provides for exemption of taxes and duties on CWC 2024 tickets. Part 3 of the bill, Madam Speaker, regulates the match venues, CWC 2024 match venues. Clause 11, for instance, prohibits the unauthorized entry into and exit from a stadium. Clause 12 prohibits entry on the playing field and other areas within the stadium as may be indicated. Clause 13 provides for the designation of any area within a CWC 2024 venue for the duration of a match period as either a reserved area or as a reserved seat, and appropriate controls are provided for under that clause. Thank you. Clause 14 seeks to suspend the privileges of members of a stadium with the consent of the owners of the stadium, and I emphasize that. Clause 14 seeks to suspend the privileges of members of a stadium with the consent of the owners of the stadium, so that such privileges as may be suspended will only be done with the full operating consent of the owners of the stadium, and this has been secured. Clause 15 prohibits certain specified conduct of persons within the venues. Clause 16 provides for the prohibition of or restriction on certain items as specified in the second schedule, dangerous objects, and we recall that that was one of the amendments that I've pointed to that was already provided for under the interpretation clause, the definition of dangerous objects. And I pay tribute to the very useful contributions of the independent members of the other place in producing a very useful definition as amended. Clause 17 provides for the surrender on request of prohibited items or items which may be used in a manner prohibited by the act for which this is the bill. Examples: illegal drugs, fireworks, flares, and explosives. Clause 18 provides for the prohibition of the sale of goods or services in a CWC 2024 venue during a match period. And again, I emphasize, as I did in the other place, that there has been active consultation by the owners of stadia in collaboration with CWC 2024 personnel, with the normal vendors who operate in the location of stadia, so as to ensure that normal vendors are allowed opportunities for sale of their items and will not be prohibited once they fall within the regulatory framework that is being put out. Clause 19 authorizes the taking of photographs of persons who are suspected on reasonable grounds to have committed or been involved in the commission of an offense in a CWC 2024 venue. Clause 20 provides for any person in a CWC 2024 venue who has committed or been involved in the commission of an offense to provide his name and address to a police officer. Madam Speaker, Part 4 of the bill takes into consideration clauses 21 to 26 to make provision for the control of advertising. One of the bill's cornerstone philosophies conserves the protection of commercial rights, a major obligation laid down in our commitment by the hosting agreement. And I will, in due course, dwell a little bit on that when we talk about ambush marketing. Clause 21 prohibits certain advertisements on structures. Clause 22 provides for the prohibition of the use of airspace during a match period over a CWC 2024 venue, but there are, of course, exceptions to that reserved for national security aircraft. Clause 23 provides for the prohibition of certain advertisements that relate to or are connected with CWI that are false or misleading. Clause 24 prohibits the commercial broadcasting, telecasting, recording, or filming of any information relating to a CWC 2024 activity without the approval of CWI. Clause 25 prohibits certain trade practices, and this is what I was going to speak about. It deals with what is known as ambush marketing by an association as well as ambush marketing by an intrusion. Members of this House may recall ambush marketing as an attempt by persons or companies to claim or infer association, however slight, with an event of which it is not a direct or official sponsor. And an example which comes to light from the former 1996 Pepsi Cricket World Cup was the Nothing Official About It campaign by Pepsi during that 1996 Cricket World Cup, who had stolen the thunder entirely from the official sponsor Coca-Cola in that year in one of the most disruptive moves in ambush marketing history in India. The campaign was regarded as both combative and disruptive and showed cricketers rejecting the official drink of the Cricket World Cup 1996 in favor of the unofficial drink. This is why an ambush marketing clause is very important in order to protect the commercial rights of official sponsors. Clause 26 prohibits the promotional use of CWC 2024 tickets. Part 5 of the bill, Madam Speaker, deals with the protection of CWC 2024 marks, indicia, and images. Clause 27, prohibition for the unauthorized use of a CWC 2024 mark. Clause 28, the prohibition on the infringement of a CWC 2024 mark or any other mark of IBC, WICB, or CWI. Clause 29 seeks to set out the CWC 2024 indicia and images that are not to be used without authorization, and that list is contained in the third schedule. Madam Speaker, Clause 31 seeks to specify that CWI or IBC may license a person to use any one or more of those images. Clause 32 provides for the prohibition of the unlicensed use of CWC 2024 indicia or images. Clause 33 seeks to ensure that the legitimate interests of third parties in the use of CWC 2024 indicia and images are not unreasonably compromised. It provides that the use of mark, indicia, or images for the purpose of or in connection with the provision of information or for the purposes of criticism or review is not of itself an infringement. The provision of factual information, such as reporting in the media, is to remain unaffected. And this particular clause, we took very special care to ensure that the fundamental rights of the freedom of the media are not affected by the provisions of this bill. Clause 34 provides for detention of goods that have a CWC 2024 mark or other indicia. Clause 35 obliges the controller to notify CWI or IBC of the detention of goods and to make provision for the application of injunctions. Clause 36 authorizes the controller to release the goods in question where no application for an injunction has been made within a specified time. Clause 38 seeks to preserve pre-existing rights so as to make it clear that existing rights granted under the Trademarks Act or the Industrial Designs Act in relation to CWC 2024 indicia or images or any other protected thing are not affected by the operation of the bill. So, for example, subclause 3 seeks to make it clear that the Act does not apply to and is not intended to apply to the use of a registered business name. Similarly, subclause 4 The Act is not intended to apply or affect the use of the name of an incorporated company where that company or business pre-existed prior to the coming into effect of this legislation, this bill that we are debating today. Madam Speaker, Part 6 of the bill deals with remedies. We will see that Clause 39 allows the court to grant injunctions. Clause 40 provides that it is an offense to publish, not an offense, sorry, that the court may order a person by such means as the court thinks fit, including by broadcast or internet publication, to publish corrective advertisements if it is satisfied that the person has contravened the provisions respecting the use of marks, indicia, or images. Clause 41 provides for damages to be recoverable by action in court. Clause 42 for an order by the court granting relief by way of an account of profits. Clause 43 to provide limitations on claiming both recovery by way of loss or damages and the damages based on an account of profits. Clause 44 provides for the destruction or delivery of the goods by order of the court. Clause 45 for any other remedy that may be provided by the law. And Clause 46 allows for the making of regulations and the amendments of the schedules to this bill by order of the minister with responsibility for sport, of course, by way of negative resolution. Clause 47 provides that the Act is to bind the state, and Clause 48 would provide for the expiry of the Act on June 30th, 2024. Madam Speaker, Cricket World Cup 2024 will be the largest sporting event, as I've said, hosted in this region since 2007. It will demonstrate indisputably to the world our capacity to successfully plan and execute a world-class event, and will promote Trinidad and Tobago and the region as a whole as a premier tourist destination for all of the world's nationalities. Madam Speaker, the mutual recognition of visas will allow for integration and movement among our fellow CARICOM host countries, and it is my hope that it is provided, even as we meet at the CARICOM level, to create the larger single domestic space, free movement of CARICOM nationals, that this piece of legislation will set the precedent for the greater example that we are at the moment discussing among attorneys general for the free movement of CARICOM nationals. The single domestic space under this legislation will allow for free movement of CARICOM nationals and visitors to our shores amongst the 6 countries of the CARICOM region during the currency of this T20 Cricket World Cup. And it is my hope that it is one more step in the right direction to bring us together as a region, as well as enhancing the profitability and popularity of West Indies cricket throughout the world. Madam Speaker, in all of the circumstances, I ask members of this House to vote wisely today, to debate rationally, and I beg to move. Thank you.